Let us meet our panel. He is a very funny comedian and famous sitcom star, and he is our buddy, Mr. Jimmie Walker, is right over here. Conservative policy analyst and law professor at Virginia's Regent University, Darlene Kennedy. Darlene. Thank you. A fine actress, talented musician, and the star of the movie The Price of Air, premiering next year from the Mamas and the Papas, my good friend, Michelle Phillips. Hey, honey. Sorry I missed your party. I know you'll have another. And he is the Tony-nominated star of Art and the movies Boogie Nights and Raiders of the Lost Ark. His next one, Chocolat, opens next Friday. Alfred Molina. Alfred, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Okay. Every day I say this, and I'm supposed to talk about the election, but who cares? Okay. It's some big thing happening in the Florida Supreme Court, but they haven't decided, and when they do, I still won't care. Now, what pissed me off today was Bill Clinton's, did anybody see it? It just came out today, interview in Rolling Stone, because Bill Clinton said small amounts of marijuana should be decriminalized. He defined small amount as whatever it takes to mellow out Al Gore. I'll tell you why this bugs me so much. It reminds me so much of sometimes a guest on this show says nothing during a segment, and then we go to commercial, and they lean over and they say something really good. And I'm like, why didn't you say that while we were on the air? I mean,
why
Bill
didn't you
Clinton,
say it during the presidency?
Yes. He's been there 8 years. 8 years, and they have prosecuted this drug war. They've escalated.
Well, he's looking to go down in history. He wants to be, he
wants to go down about him.
Well, maybe you should do it. Maybe you should say, yes, I did inhale, and yes, I did get a yes, it's all true. Maybe he's just complaining about
everything. That's not what this is about. I mean, his administration has been really hard.
But he can afford to be nice about all this stuff now, because he's on his way out.
Yeah, but he just contributed on our behalf $6 billion to the Colombian drug war. Why not take that money and do something really constructive with it?
Right, he's fighting the drug war on one hand. Where did you think the drug war ends up? With people having small amounts of marijuana. And on his way out the door, he says, oh, by the way, did I forget to mention pot should be legal? Goodbye.
I mean, is this a surprise to anyone? I mean, he's certainly not a role model for the American children. And, what bothers me about this is he says marijuana, small amount of marijuana. You know what kids are going to hear? Drugs. It's okay to do drugs. It escalates.
No, they're not. If people would stop acting like that. If people would treat...
25% of the population does smoke
But it's illegal, and until it is illegal
that's why it shouldn't be illegal, because 25% of the population should not be criminalized for something that is so stupid.
Well, until the laws are changed, it's illegal, and it needs to stay that way, and people need to abide by the law.
The problem with the whole thing is that in the sliding morals of our society, unfortunately, drugs like marijuana have become part of our fiber. And we have to sadly deal with the reality that you have to decriminalize it because it's here to stay, and that's the reality
Jimmie,
of it all.
At what point in history do you think drugs were not part of any society's fiber?
But I think that the reality...
Even animals do drugs.
But Bill, the thing is... it is a major part where it's not even unhip to do drugs. I mean, and there was a time when people would sneak around and do drugs. Now people are riding in their cars just smoking grass out there. Hey, hi, everybody!
No, you've got it completely backwards.
Okay.
20 years ago, you remember, in Hollywood.
I sure do.
In People used to do cocaine in meetings. They would, could I get your Diet Coke or some blow?
Yeah,
I'm serious.
We used to go to a dinner party, and there'd be a mound of cocaine on the coffee table.
It depends on who's at the dinner party. If Keith Richards is there, maybe, yeah. But, I mean, not everybody.
First of all, I believe that all drugs should be decriminalized. I think that we should spend our money educating our children about drugs, because I'm not saying that drugs are good for you. I'm saying that we should spend the $6 billion
But they've been good for you.
Thank you, Bill. I think that we could spend that money educating our children about drugs. I was educated as a child. My father was a probation officer for juvenile hall. He told me that he expected that I would probably smoke marijuana because I was living in a mecca of drugs. And he said, and this is what cocaine is going to look like. I don't know if you'll ever see it, Dad. And he told me that it was this white powder. But he made me promise never to try any heroin. He said, if you will just promise not to ever try any heroin, I will never come down on you about the drug, about the pot thing.
You know, this is a slippery slope. You start with marijuana, then it's coke, and then it's crack, and then it's heroin. No, you know, we're saying to our children, hey, why don't we just make it legal? Let's all just have a fun fest.
I think we should make it legal.
That's why society is so messed up as it is today.
I think that we should make it legal.
First of all, that is a completely discredited argument.
I don't agree with that. I agree with her because I think that... Yes!
The argument is that if one thing precedes another, it is the cause of it.
It does!
Okay, well, you know what? Kids drink Mountain Dew before they drink beer. So is that really what causes it, Mountain Dew?
People drink beer before they drink whiskey and stuff.
You know what?
That's the reality of
beer is the real gateway drug.
That's right.
But they're not going to make that illegal because they pay too much to
But it's the same thing with drugs, though.
You know, it is a drug. Beer is a drug. Whiskey is a drug. They're all legal.
We're never going to beat the drug people unless we do scorched earth, so we might as well... I hate to say it, we have to give up, unfortunately, because they got us beat. And I hate to say it because they've tried everything they can, unless they do a scorched earth and go to Colombia and just blow the whole thing up and declare war on them. That's the only way they do it.
That's a solution there for you. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you, don't you think that cigarettes are a drug?
Definitely.
They're a worse drug. How many marijuana drug deaths do you think there are a year as compared to cigarette deaths a year?
People that get run over for going too slow on the freeway may be the marijuana people, I say. But I still think you cannot beat the drug people. I agree with you that it should all be decriminalized because we can't beat
who are the drug people? Are they the people who drink coffee?
No.
Are they the people who take Prozac? Are they the people who drink scotch at night?
The illegal
the people
drugs,
who smoke cigarettes?
Bill, the illegal drugs.
Somehow the illegal drugs wound up on the side of the ledger where less people die.
No, I don't agree with that. I think people. I think there's a lot of ancillary things that happen with drugs. I think there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of robberies. I think people get beat up a lot. I think there's a lot of people
because they're illegal. That's why people get beat up.
You try making cigarettes illegal and see how many crimes will be committed in the name of cigarettes. Many more.
I think that people who do cigarettes are just as stupid as people who do drugs. I don't think there's any difference.
And if you're talking about children, I mean, at least right now, cigarettes and alcohol, you can't use them before the age of 21 and 18.
Well, people do, though.
I know they do it, but obviously, you know, that is just as important and a concern to people.
I think we shouldn't let children smoke marijuana until they're 18 either.
Yeah.
But people do it. I mean, that's an unfortunate situation. They do it.
No marijuana until you're 18.
But people do it before then.
Until you're 18.
People do everything before they're 18, and they stop after 18 doing everything else. I think it's people start before. That may be the problem. I think drugs have to be legalized. I agree with her, but I agree with her only because we can't beat them. If we could beat them, I would say whip them and get them the hell out of here. That's what I would say.
My worry about... I agree. I think we should decriminalize drugs. But my worry is, once they're decriminalized, they become part of the bureaucracy.
But they are right now.
Yeah, but when they become... But it means that who's going to work out how many drugs people get or what drugs people get?
People get what they can pay for.
Well, I'm concerned about people who... But, you know, people who are using marijuana, say people who are smoking marijuana to alleviate pain. Now, I don't think they're...
Got to stop them. That has to end. People who are having cancerous pain fits
they have legal drugs. They have legal
which don't work as well. Why don't you listen to what the cancer patients want?
I have relatives and friends who have had terminal illnesses, and they've had legal. We have
morphine
and other drugs that are available.
So morphine, let's give them that because that's like only 1,000 times.
That's like heroin.
That's only 1,000 times.
It's a legal drug used for a purpose.
But you can't
did you see the article today about Mr. Kevorkian and he's killing off people that weren't even terminally ill? That's what frightens me about the society. It's a slippery slope. We start off with, let's make drugs, free for everyone, and now let's just kill everyone. Let them if they want to off themselves.
I gotta take a commercial. It's the anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, the incident that led us in America to entering World War II and keeping the world safe for democracy, or whatever you call it when some chick in Florida picks the president. analysis says that 69 of the assisted suicides from Dr. Jack Kevorkian, 3/4 of them, the person was not terminally ill. Many people got in the van, they say, and were just depressed. One woman was just asking for directions. It's... Okay. All right. Apropos, because you brought that up, but you also you keep bringing up children, as many people do in our society. What about the children? Okay. I keep reading articles about the fact that the new trend is co-ed sleepovers.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What?
It's horrible.
No, it is. I'm not lying about it.
Kids are going to sleep over anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, but when I was a kid, if you wanted to have sex, you had to be in a cheap motel. You know?
I think if underage kids want to have sex, they ought to go through all the usual routines and earn it.
Yes.
Find someone who'll lend them a car, do it when the parents are out of the house, because that way parents will understand. You know, this whole thing about supervised sleep, I mean, I think it's... Yeah, I'm amazed that with all the sophistication that we pride ourselves with in this country, I'm amazed that we're so, you know, we're in such a state about whether or not our kids are having sex. Our kids are having sex. I mean, I'm envious of how much sex my kids
I agree.
Yeah,
and I think it's nonsense that we now think we're in a position to supervise them. You know, if my daughter was 20 years old, if I turned around to my daughter when she was 16, I said, you know what, honey, I think you're gonna be supervised when Mac and Terry and Jerry and Harry come and stay. My daughter would have laughed at me. I mean, you know, right. I look ridiculous enough in front of my kids anyway. I don't want to kind of add more.
You don't want to. I want you home by 10 screwing.
Can I say something? I think that we live in a country that sexualizes our children so early.
Oh yeah.
We don't have any problem prancing our John Benet Ramseys around the stage in provocative little outfits with lots of makeup, their hair piled high. And yet, we're astounded when they turn out to be little sluts.
Right.
You know.
But I don't think I don't think we should push it on them in terms of us. I mean, it comes with the Britney Spearses of the world and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely the Britney Spearses. But I don't think we should have authorized brothel in our basements for people. You know, I mean, you know.
You're taking it where it just doesn't belong.
Let us not have our sons and daughters down teaming up having like strip parties down in the basement.
But they're not strip parties. They're sleepovers.
Sleepovers. Oh, gee. They never slept over when we stripped, me or you, Bill, at all, ever.
They're going to do it anyway. Why should we
facilitate it? Why don't we let children be children? Let them have slumber parties, same-sex slumber parties, the way we used to when we were kids.
That's what I'm saying. We should not facilitate. They're going to do it anymore. I don't think we should say to them, now, you know, now, as a parent now, honey, I approve.
Yeah. Sometimes somebody has to stand up as a parent and say, I disapprove. I don't go for this. You're my kid. You're in my house. You ain't doing this anymore.
I agree with that. Yes. We could use a lot more of that.
That's right.
One of the problems with too many parents, I mean, I think most of us, with the exception of, I think, Bill, are parents.
Except for me, too.
Okay.
I'm not. Maybe I don't know.
Unfortunately, parents today want to be their kid's friend. I'm your friend. I'm your pal. What happened to being a parent, being responsible? You have to raise that person.
Right on, sister girl.
I don't see why the two things are mutually exclusive. I don't think that
they are.
No, wait a second. I don't think that assuming that your children are having sex is tantamount to saying you're a bad parent. I resent that. I think that's outrageous.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think you have to know what's going on rather than people who
That's what I'm saying. And one of the things that are going on is that your kids are having sex. Well, what you've got to do is make it safe for them.
And by the way,
that's okay too, but I mean, I don't approve of them having sex in my basement. You know what I'm saying?
No. You want them in the street? You want them in some street? In some crack house somewhere?
That's right.
Let them have sex in your house in an environment that you know is safe.
It may not be safe. They got conceived there. I mean, you know, it may not be safe.
I say something? Can I say something? That when my daughter was growing up,
Jimmie's mother was named Florida. I think that says a lot about our current state of affairs.
That's going on there.
When my daughter was growing up, and my goddaughter was also living with me, they were both 16 years old and then 17. And when I became aware of the fact that they were both sexually active, I was the one to put the basket of condoms and
basket.
The basket. That's the kind of...
No pressure.
Why don't you just go to the Price Club, go to Costco, and get the big drone?
Well, if there had been a Costco, then I would have bought them by the gross, believe me. But I believe that encouraging safe sex is one thing, but encouraging your children at a very early age to the idea that they can sleep with their boyfriends.
It's not encouraging. It's just accepting the fact that it's going to happen, and let's at least make it safe and
let it happen at a normal speed, at a normal pace.
We're saying that we're going to encourage like 10-year-olds to have sex? No, I don't think.
But the context of this situation is slumber parties, and in the old-fashioned slumber parties, where a bunch of girls got together, rented some videos, and had some popcorn, and that was the end of it.
For young kids.
But having co-ed slumber parties is ridiculous.
But you all use the word normal. But what is normal is for the human species to be having sex.
Leather lederhosen, is that normal? I don't know.
But normal, you know...
I think you hit something there with Bill.
Sick, limey over there, let me tell you.
People used to have sex at a much earlier age. People had sex when they were 12 years old, and that was considered normal.
But it is normal. It's biologically
normal.
So, I mean, you got to work around that parameter, that this is what biology, which really is the ruler here.
Oh, Bill, stop.
I will, but I'm going to stop right now and come back.
Join us tomorrow when our guest will be actress and investigator, co-anchor of CNN Showbiz Today, Jim Moret, from Normal, Ohio, Mo Gaffney, and political strategist Joe Giardello.
Madonna is getting married again. Madonna marrying her British boyfriend, Guy Ritchie. They're going to have the ceremony in the Scottish Highlands. A beautiful place for a wedding. They say it's going to be a great ceremony. Ritchie said he would blow the bagpipes, and Madonna said, perfect, I'll do the groomsmen. What are you giving me?
I'm giving you
hand recount. Oh,
no.
You're the
Those.
Ferdinand Marcos. After every election to his political opponents, you may have won the vote, but I won the count.
And now read the next one.
So you're those who cast their vote decide nothing. Those who count the votes decide everything. Joseph Stalin.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. You're using me as your little platform. Thank you.
A conduit to use the term.
But I wanted to ask one more question about what we were talking about with the sleepovers, which is that there was a Time magazine cover story a few months ago that said girls are maturing at an alarming rate. It's almost like a science fiction movie. I mean, they're growing breasts at 9 years old, which they never did before. And people do not know why. They have theories. Some people say it's the media. Some people say it's our diet. It's we eat too much meat. Whatever it is, I know.
Maybe they're masturbating earlier.
I noticed you didn't write that on a cocktail napkin.
I mean, look, a lot of it has to do with diet. I mean, we're in a society where, hormones in the cows we're eating, the grains, all these different products. I mean, a lot of things aren't natural anymore.
I think this mad cow disease thing is great. I really do. I hope lots more people die and nobody then wants to eat meat anymore.
Well,
I think that'd be the greatest thing in the world if lots more people die of mad cow disease. I'm for it.
I think it's soda pop. I think it's sodas. People, children are just living on Coke and Sprite and Mountain Dew and all that crap, and they live on it. They drink it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think that's the whole problem there.
You know, I think. Yeah, a lot of it is also the media. I mean, because if you look at a Britney Spears or those type of girls...
You keep mentioning her.
Yes?
Yeah. Jimmie, I got to take another break, but really hold that thought, and I know you will.
If you're planning to be in the Los Angeles area and would like free tickets to Politically Incorrect, call 323-575-4321.
All right, Jimmie, what? You're mad at me because I don't remember every part. Sorry. Florida, you're responsible for this. Tomorrow, Annabeth Gish, Jim Murray, Mo Gaffney, and Joe Giardello.